Would you believe it's been over 50 years? The classic spy comedy Get Smart had audiences laughing through 5 unforgettable seasons of goofy gadgets, secret agents, and the ever-iconic Maxwell Smart. But where are the stars of Control and KAOS now? In this special 2025 edition, we're taking a nostalgic journey back to the swinging 60s to revisit the original cast, and then fast forward to see how their lives and legacies have evolved over the decades. From unforgettable one-liners to surprising transformations, you won't believe how much, or how little, has changed. Don Adams, who played the lovable yet inept secret agent Maxwell Smart, was 42 years old when Get Smart premiered in 1965. His deadpan delivery and signature line, "Would you believe?" became iconic. Off-screen, Adams struggled to maintain the same success after the show ended. Though he reprised his role in a few attempts at revivals, his later career was marred by typecasting and declining health. He was married and divorced 3 times, first to Adelaide Adams, with whom he had 4 children, Caroline, Cecily, Christine, and Sean. His second and third marriages also ended in divorce, largely due to his obsessive dedication to work and worsening alcohol dependency. He had a strained relationship with his children, especially after the tragic death of his daughter Cecily from cancer. Don also suffered from chronic depression, leading to long periods of isolation. He passed away on September 25, 2005, at the age of 82 from lymphoma and lung infection. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at $1.5 million, much of which went to cover medical expenses and debts. His final years were quiet, spent alone in a retirement home in Los Angeles, clinging to the legacy of a character he could never quite escape. Barbara Feldon, who portrayed the elegant and competent Agent 99, was 32 when she joined Get Smart. Known for her grace and intelligence, her chemistry with Don Adams made her a fan favorite. But behind the scenes, Feldon led a life tinged with loneliness and heartbreak. She was married briefly to Lucien Verdefelden, a relationship that ended in divorce after only a few years due to emotional disconnect. She later entered a long-term relationship with actor Burt Nadella, but they never married, and the bond dissolved when her career stalled in the late 1970s. Feldon never had children, a decision she later expressed regret over in interviews. After Get Smart, her acting opportunities dwindled, and she largely faded from the spotlight. She suffered from anxiety and reclusive tendencies, spending much of her later life in a modest New York apartment surrounded by books and memories. She never remarried and often expressed feeling forgotten by the industry she once charmed. Now 92 years old, Feldon lives quietly off a small pension and residuals from the show. Her estimated net worth is around $600,000. Despite the solitude, she remains proud of her time as Agent 99 and occasionally writes essays about aging and fame. Edward Platt, best remembered as the Chief of Control, brought a sense of exasperated authority to the bumbling chaos around him. He was 49 when he started the role in 1965. Platt's deep voice and no-nonsense demeanor made him a perfect foil to Adams Smart. However, behind his composed exterior, Platt struggled with severe depression and financial instability. He was married to Suzanne Belcher, with whom he had 4 children, Jeffrey, Andrew, Richard, and Barbara. The marriage was rocky, plagued by Edward's mood swings and periods of withdrawal. After Get Smart ended, acting roles became scarce, and Platt faced mounting debt and career disappointments. His untreated mental health issues worsened, and he became increasingly isolated from his family. Tragically, Edward Platt died by suicide on March 19, 1974, at the age of 58, though his death was initially reported as heart failure. At the time of his passing, his estate was heavily in debt, and his net worth was less than $100,000. His children have spoken openly about the silent battles he fought, and the toll of a fading career on a man once celebrated for his commanding screen presence. Bernie Koppel, who portrayed the comically villainous KAOS agent Siegfried, was 33 when he joined the cast. With a thick accent and flair for over-the-top evil, his role was both entertaining and memorable. After Get Smart, Koppel found moderate success on shows like The Love Boat, but personal happiness eluded him. He married 3 times, first to Celia Whitney, divorced, then Yolanda Velas, divorced, and finally to Katrina Onadil, with whom he remains married. He had 2 sons, Adam and Josh. Though still alive at 91, his later years have been marked by health issues and isolation. His second son, Josh, became estranged after a business falling out involving a failed production company the two co-founded. Bernie also dealt with financial setbacks in the early 2000s, leading to the loss of a significant portion of his savings. Despite appearances at fan conventions, he has often expressed bitterness over being remembered only for Siegfried. Living quietly in a small condo in Los Angeles, Koppel's estimated net worth is around $700,000. Though still occasionally appearing in nostalgic roles, he spends most of his days reflecting on a career that never fully met his early ambitions. David Ketchum, who portrayed Agent 13, often hidden in absurd places like mailboxes and washing machines, was 38 in 1966. His quirky role was a fan favorite for its ridiculousness. Though gifted in comedy, Ketchum struggled with typecasting and found it difficult to secure substantial work after Get Smart. He married only once, to publicist Mary Lou Brighton, but they divorced in 1975 after years of tension over his erratic income and long absences. They had one daughter, Rachel, who died tragically in a car accident in 1989. The loss deeply affected Ketchum, who retreated from public life. Now 97, he lives alone in a senior care facility in California, largely forgotten by the industry. His days are spent in reflection, sometimes watching reruns of his past work. Ketchum's later years were marred by increasing medical costs and dwindling residuals. His estimated net worth is under $200,000. Once a hopeful comic actor, he now finds solace only in occasional letters from fans and old photographs of his brief time in the limelight. King Moody, who played the bumbling KAOS scientist Starker, was 36 years old when he joined Get Smart in 1966. His portrayal was known for its oddball energy and slapstick charm, often drawing laughs with little more than a blank stare and a delayed reaction. Despite the comic success of the role, Moody's life behind the scenes was anything but funny. He was married twice, first to actress Rachel Raines, a volatile relationship marked by infidelity and substance abuse, and then to costume designer Lisa Danton, which ended in a bitter divorce. He had one son, Benjamin, whom he rarely saw due to custody disputes and his unstable lifestyle. After Get Smart, Moody's career faltered, and he fell into deep depression, unable to escape the shadow of his silly on-screen persona. In the 1980s, he was briefly homeless and lived out of his car, surviving on small commercial gigs and voiceover work. A severe battle with alcoholism led to estrangement from most of his friends and family. Moody passed away on February 7, 2001, at the age of 71 from kidney failure brought on by years of health neglect. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at a mere $50,000. He died alone in a Los Angeles hospital, remembered mostly by die-hard fans of the show. Milton Seltzer, who had a recurring role as Parker, was 47 when he appeared on Get Smart. Known for his roles as nervous or eccentric bureaucrats, Seltzer brought a twitchy charm to his performances. However, his career was marked by near misses. He was often considered for bigger roles but rarely got them. Seltzer was married to Elaine Baxter, a marriage filled with long silences and missed emotional connections. They had 2 daughters, Nina and Lisa, both of whom distanced themselves from him in adulthood, citing his emotional unavailability and controlling nature. Following Get Smart, he continued acting sporadically but struggled with financial instability, especially during the 1980s when acting roles dried up. Seltzer battled severe anxiety and later developed Parkinson's disease, which left him housebound in his final years. He died on October 21, 2006, at the age of 87 due to complications from the disease. His estate was modest, estimated at $120,000. He spent his final days in an assisted living facility, largely forgotten by Hollywood, clinging to the fleeting satisfaction of having once made people laugh on screen. Stacy Keach Sr., who portrayed Carlson, the control scientist, was 52 when he joined the show. Known for his stern expression and fatherly demeanor, Keach lent credibility to even the most absurd plots. Though he had a long list of TV credits, Keach lived in the shadow of his more famous son, Stacy Keach Jr. His personal life was riddled with disappointment. He was married to Mary Kane, a relationship that eventually deteriorated due to Keach's jealousy of his son's rising fame. They had 3 children, including Stacy Jr., but family tensions and resentment strained their relationships. After Get Smart, Keach Sr. struggled to find meaningful work and often took bit parts just to pay the bills. He suffered 2 strokes in the 1990s, leaving him partially paralyzed. His bitterness toward Hollywood's neglect of aging actors became a defining part of his later years. He passed away on February 13, 2003, at the age of 88 from heart failure. His net worth at the time was estimated at just $80,000. Though talented and devoted to his craft, he died quietly, without fanfare or recognition, his contributions largely eclipsed by the success of his son. Brian O'Byrne, who played Hodgkins, the loyal but often clueless assistant to the chief, was 34 when the series began. Though he brought an awkward earnestness to the part, O'Byrne never quite broke through to larger fame. His shy, soft-spoken nature made it difficult for him to network in the industry. He was married once, to drama teacher Linda Hope, but the marriage ended after 5 years, partially due to his reclusive habits and obsession with method acting. They had no children. After Get Smart, he taught acting in small community colleges but never returned to screen prominence. His students described him as brilliant but emotionally distant, a man haunted by what might have been. In the 1990s, O'Byrne was diagnosed with early-onset dementia, and he spent his final decade in a care facility. He died on December 4, 2009, at age 78 due to complications from Alzheimer's disease. His net worth at the time of death was approximately $60,000. His estate included only a few personal belongings and a worn copy of Get Smart scripts, which he reportedly reread often in his declining years, clinging to memories of a brief, shining moment on television. Ralph Manza, who portrayed Finster and later a cart driver in Get Smart, was 46 years old when he joined the series in 1967. Known for his impeccable timing and knack for quirky, often nameless roles, Manza was a beloved character actor but never achieved household name status. After Get Smart, he appeared in dozens of television shows and commercials, but the pay was often meager, and roles were fleeting. He was married to schoolteacher Dolores Manza for nearly 30 years, though the marriage was strained by long separations and his refusal to retire from acting. They had one son, Vincent, who became estranged from Ralph after repeated failed business ventures that left the family in debt. Manza faced multiple health issues in his later years, including arthritis that made performing difficult, and he suffered from chronic loneliness. He lived in a small one-bedroom apartment in Burbank, surviving mostly on Social Security and the kindness of former co-stars. He passed away on January 31, 2000, at the age of 78, following a heart attack. His net worth at the time was estimated at just $40,000. Despite a prolific resume, Manza's name faded into obscurity, remembered mainly by die-hard TV buffs and a handful of loyal fans. William Shallett, who portrayed Admiral Hargrade and Earl Kibbe, was 45 when he appeared on Get Smart in 1967. His ability to portray affable, often bewildered authority figures made him a go-to character actor for decades. Though his career remained relatively steady, Shallett's personal life bore deep emotional scars. He was married to actress Leah Wagner, with whom he had 4 sons, Edwin, Joseph, Mark, and Brendan. Tragedy struck the family in 1983 when Mark was killed in a motorcycle accident, and the emotional toll fractured William's relationship with his remaining children. Though his marriage endured, it was marked by long periods of silence and separate living arrangements. After retiring from acting in the early 2000s, Shalit lived quietly in Pacific Palisades, often reflecting on his regrets in interviews. He suffered from peripheral neuropathy, and eventually required full-time care. William Shalit passed away on May 8, 2016, at the age of 93 from natural causes. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately $1.2 million, largely due to property holdings. Though his resume spanned over 400 credits, he remained humble, occasionally writing letters to fans who still remembered him as the gentle face in the background. Gordon Jump, who played Hobson and Agent 51, was 36 when he joined Get Smart in 1966. Known for his genial appearance and soft-spoken delivery, Jump is best remembered for his later role as Arthur Carlson on WKRP in Cincinnati. But his road there was paved with disappointment. He was married twice, first to Betty White, not the actress, with whom he had 5 children, and later to Catherine DeHetra, though both marriages ended in divorce. Jump struggled with guilt over his absence as a father, and his children often described him as emotionally distant. He had several breakdowns in the 1980s after a series of failed pilot shows and increasing doubts about his career choices. Despite a public persona of warmth, Jump privately battled depression and anxiety, exacerbated by a public backlash in the 1990s when he took part in a controversial TV special about child predators. He died on September 22, 2003, at the age of 71 from pulmonary fibrosis. His estate was estimated at $900,000. Though respected by peers, Gordon Jump's final years were marked by reclusion and regrets over his fractured relationships, especially with his eldest son, whom he never reconciled with before his passing. Joey Foreman, who portrayed both the bumbling detective Harry Hu and an attorney in the show, was 42 in 1966. His exaggerated Asian character was a product of the era but later drew criticism, which deeply affected Foreman in his later years. Behind the laughter, he struggled with being seen only as a novelty act. He was married once, to singer Shirley Mitchell, but the union was short-lived and childless. After Get Smart, Foreman's career faltered, and he relied heavily on stand-up gigs in fading Las Vegas lounges. He struggled with alcohol and depression, exacerbated by the rise of new comedy styles that left his brand of humor obsolete. In the late 1970s, he attempted suicide but survived, which prompted a brief comeback in regional theater. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer in 1982 and passed away on December 9 of that year, at just 53. He died in debt, with a net worth estimated under $10,000. His friends remember him as a man with a sharp wit and a heavy heart, whose talents were boxed into caricatures that ultimately buried the real performer inside. Len Lesser, who portrayed Laden and Rudolph in Get Smart, was 43 years old when he appeared on the series. With his gravelly voice and unmistakable sneer, he carved out a niche as the gruff, tough guy in countless TV roles. Despite his comic timing, Lesser rarely got leading parts and often felt marginalized in an industry that prized looks over talent. He married social worker Janice Levine in 1955, but their 22-year marriage ended in divorce due to his frequent absences and obsessive dedication to his work. They had one daughter, Michelle, with whom he had a strained relationship, primarily due to his unpredictable temper and emotional withdrawal. After Get Smart, Lesser found some minor success in guest roles, but financial hardship followed in the 1980s after a failed investment in a short-lived acting school. He was known to live modestly in a rent-controlled apartment in Van Nuys, relying on union pension checks and occasional royalty payments. He developed dementia in his later years and required round-the-clock care. Len Lesser passed away on February 16, 2011, at age 88 from pneumonia complications. His estate was modest, estimated at $75,000. Though later known to younger audiences for his role as Uncle Leo on Seinfeld, Lesser died quietly, longing for the days when his face lit up black and white screens across America. Sid Haig, who played Bruce and other minor roles on Get Smart, was just 28 when he made his appearances in 1967. Towering and intense, Haig later became a cult horror icon, but his early years in Hollywood were marred by typecasting. A classically trained actor, he was continually passed over for serious roles and instead cast as villains, thugs, or henchmen. His only marriage was to Susan Oberg, a tattoo artist nearly 2 decades his junior. Though devoted, their relationship endured many challenges, including Sid's long bouts with depression and chronic health problems. The couple had no children. In the 1970s and 80s, Haig nearly left acting altogether, working as a hypnotherapist to make ends meet after becoming disillusioned with the industry. A brief career revival came with Rob Zombie's House of 1,000 Corpses, but declining health soon followed. He was hospitalized several times in his final years due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and injuries from falls. Sid Haig died on September 21, 2019, at the age of 80 from a lung infection. At the time of his passing, his net worth was estimated at $400,000. Though finally embraced by the horror community late in life, Sid Haig lived with the frustration of an industry that never truly gave him the chance to be more than a caricature. Who is your favorite character from Get Smart? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.